apparently, his father was sleeping around, on his mom for at least the minimum, according to Jerrod, 35 years of just, sleeping around with his mom. And, I'm not saying that this needs to be celebrated. I'm not saying this is even a good thing, but it just goes to show that, relationships were just different back then, however you want to take it. Hey, what's going on, folks? Another episode of Ryan Reviews Everything, and we're talking about the latest episode of the JERROD CARMICHAEL Show. I've been busy past couple weeks. I am going to start putting more channels outside of just the JERROD CARMICHAEL Show, so just bear with me. Been juggling some things. But anyway, let's get into it. One thing that is consistent with this show, there's at least one at the minimum, but more than likely a couple of scenes that will make you feel uncomfortable, make you feel awkward. And this is no different. I swear, seeing this whole episode about JERROD CARMICHAEL initiating a road trip with his dad, it started off cool. I've already had kind of the idea that, okay, we're definitely going to see some type of awkward conversation about, Jerrod's sexuality, perhaps his dating life. And of course, that was brought up like early on the road trip. Of course, I guess for the sake of the reality show, for some shock value, I do feel like, there were some parts where Jerrod definitely added some unnecessary sauce to it. Clear example, ask, hey, you want to see a picture of my boyfriend? The father was like, all right, cool. And instead of just showing a regular picture, of course, Jerrod, I guess for the shock value, maybe some comedy relief, shows a picture of his boyfriend in a Speedo. It's like, all right, man. So stuff like that is like, all right, yeah, you milking it for the show here and there, but, and, from the previews, I'll just say, I thought, out of the two parents that, Jerrod's father was probably the more likable one. And he didn't do anything like bad in this show. I just said, just from the previews, I thought, okay, they're doing a road trip together. I guess this is going to be an episode where they further bond, this and the third. And boy, was I wrong. He even admitted, one of his, comedy bits that he rarely talks to his dad. He said while he's talking, the most he's talked to his dad is like when he was talking to his mom and his dad just so happens to be in the room, stuff like that. So, definitely made for an even more awkward car ride, road trip. And there are just certain parts that's just like, I couldn't help but feel sorry for the dad or just, side with the dad. Clearly we also see portions of this episode to where Jerrod is, feeling like maybe seeing some of his dad's habits is kind of a reflection of why he's continuing to cheat on Mike. And of course, even in this episode, he admits that he cheated yet again. He's there at some, whatever not rest stop, but whatever hotel that they're at for the night. Jerrod is still surfing on Grindr and gets kind of a message, which is a wild message to just open up with. But, and I guess if you're on Grindr or who knows, even Tinder for that matter, you already know what it is. So ask him how his package is, this and the third. And boom, apparently he linked up with someone else. But to the bigger conversation of this episode, we get into, his father's past. And apparently, his father was sleeping around, on his mom for at least the minimum, according to Jerrod, 35 years of just, sleeping around with his mom. And, I'm not saying that this needs to be celebrated. I'm not saying this is even a good thing, but it just goes to show that, relationships were just different back then, however you want to take it, and we get more into Jerrod's father's past, and we found out that, he had a whole second family on Jerrod and his mom, you know what I'm saying? And apparently still is married to Mr. Carmichael, so stuff like that, So the next time you maybe come across like an elderly couple, or maybe if you know that those one set of grandparents who always seem lovey-dovey, you never know, man. They may have been through some stuff back in the day, and just for whatever reason, that married couple really was like, to death do us part, for real, for real. To death do us part doesn't mean I'm leaving because you got a whole nother family on me. Once again, I think that's more than reasonable for leaving. I think that's more than enough reason to leave if your husband is having a whole another family on you. But it was just very awkward, throughout this episode. Even just to rewind a little bit, we see Gerard break down different types of homosexual terms to his father, like his father was ready for that conversation. My first impressions of the father, definitely a man of few words. But what I did like, and it definitely seems to be two completely different perspectives, to the point to where I don't know who to believe, but at least for the sake of the cameras, I did like the fact that they're at a restaurant and Gerard opens up about, why he doesn't call or come around his parents more, which was actually a question raised by the father. And Gerard is like kind of looking at him in amazement. It was like, yeah, when he first came out, he claims that the parents weren't that accepting. The father was like, don't bring a boyfriend to my house. The mom was just like, homosexuality is not in the Bible, so I'll pray for you, but I can't rock with you. Like it was same. It's odd. It's funny how you can have the same exact event go down, and then for some weird reason, two completely conversations comes from that. So that was Gerard's side. He said he felt like he wasn't welcomed in the house anymore. He said, definitely don't bring a boyfriend home. The mom is like, I can't rock with, paraphrasing, of course, clearly. I can't rock with you because you're homosexuality. Homosexuality is not in the Bible. So from his point of view, they weren't accepting of it at all. But from the father's point of view, he claims he remembers saying, hey, man, if that's your life, we still love you, this and the third. So I don't know who to believe. I'm kind of leaning more so on, if I had to choose, I'd probably lean more on JERROD CARMICHAEL's side, just because, something about the mom clearly seems like she's like, if you're gay, I can't rock with you. So if she's like that, I'm sure the father may have maybe not said the exact same words, but maybe follow suit in some form or fashion. Therefore, don't bring a boyfriend to my house. And which is a house that Gerard is paying for, which is even more uncomfortable. But now let's talk about the, I guess the climax or the finale, the ending of this episode. I thought that was the most awkward part for sure. He finally gets him, not finally, but they have that one talk, one-on-one, man-to-man, and he confronts his father about, his second family, just about questions, like, was it just sexual with this other woman? Did you love this other woman as well, just like you love my mom? What about my brothers that I had no idea about? I would love to have a relationship with them. This and the third, all which is I feel like an honest, legitimate conversation to have. Should you have that conversation on camera? I don't think that's necessary. So that's, definitely not excusing the father. The father definitely sounds like he was on some foul stuff back in the day. I can't vouch for it. I can't make an excuse for that. He definitely was on some foul stuff. But I don't think I think just certain conversations aren't meant for the public. And that's one of them. He definitely comes off like as if he really regrets his, past mistakes. And he's trying to have this mindset of, hey, let's live in the now. I can't change what I did in my past anyway. I feel bad for what I did in my past, but there's nothing I can do about it. So I feel like if you want to have that conversation, not everything should be made public. So I don't rock with Gerard about talking about, hey man, this is for the public. And if I feel comfortable to have this conversation with cameras, that's just what I have to do. It's like, you don't have to do that, man. You could easily have that conversation. Even if you did have the cameras on, you don't have to move forward and air it. I just felt like once again, every relationship is different with their parents and stuff like that. But I just feel like out of respect for your parents, the people who ultimately raised you, even though they may not have had the best reception of him coming out, I feel like you owe your parents that respect to give him that type of privacy. He clearly feels bad about what he did. He's just trying to live out the rest of his life, just chilling and I guess being a better man, better person overall. And then here you go airing out his dirty laundry like that. So I understand the frustration. I understand the defensiveness that Mr. Carmichael showed. His first name escapes me. I know I'm horrible with that. But yeah, man, I think this is just proof that not everything is supposed to be on camera. Certain conversations, even for this reality show, should be left behind closed doors. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Love it or hate it, that's my opinion. Peace.